And we're live when apparently I've forgotten how to start the show properly. So I am pressing the screen share button instead of the start broadcast. I'm just a hot mess right now. Welcome to Metal Life, guys. I am joined this week by Jay.
Oh, hi there.
And we are oddly, and this is completely by accident, coordinated as I am wearing a Baby Groot shirt and Jay is wearing a Rocket Raccoon.
And
So we got Rocket and Groot.
I have my little Rocket and Groot figurine ready to go.
All right. Well, I just wore a shirt. I don't have toys. My toys.
I'm glad you wore a shirt, please and thank you.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell if I wasn't wearing a shirt. Let's be honest.
Who was wearing a Sasquatch shirt? I didn't even know they sold those.
Yeah, there's this interesting photo of me going across the forest from the 70s. All right, now that we're done insulting my body hair and letting everybody get through the ads, how's your week in Heroclix been, Jay?
Very active. Thursday was 401's normal 401-ness. Titano pricing. Not that I really cared because I knew I was getting my judge one. It was 300 modern. Except for any monkey, ape, or similar non-human primate was modern, because if Glenn had just said any primate, it would have included humans, so basically everything. I did not actually have, I don't have the old Titano. He's one of the two Superman, Wonder Woman claws I'm missing, so I couldn't play him. But I played a themey Metropolis theme team with the Shifting Focus Supermans, which is the best version of Superman. I'm sure you agree with me on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Lois Lane from Superman, Wonder Woman, Target Perry White, although he's the only one that exists. Streaky. Oh, Streaky is the only one, and the perplexed prob Lex Luthor, aka Jesse Eisenberg, Facebook guy with the social media power.
Who should have been Lex Luthor? Let me tell you, Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg should have been Lex Luthor over whatever they put in that movie.
Yeah, as well as my favorite support piece of all time that I'm actually kind of surprised you don't see competitively, because it's Casey Shazam. Because taking off tokens from Jakeem every turn would be, or every other turn would be pretty dang good, I think.
I think it's
so.
No, it's that whole get there thing.
Yeah, I guess sitting in one. I guess all the Casey pieces took a hit because of shredders, more or less. It's just too easy of a target.
Hey, buddy, let's talk for where'd you go?
What do you mean, Spectre? You crumbled into dust. How'd that happen? So round one was against my friend who was playing Unimind at 150 because that's the most fun figure of all time. Mjolnir Hulk at 100, and Eric Masterson and 8 Batman Pog, and I managed to win against Unimind somehow by not killing Unimind and just taking out all the other points and relying on my friend's bad dice. Then round two was against Devin with an X-Men team. Apparently he liked UXM Beast this week because I played against him running that version of Beast both that day and Sunday. It was that. The common Emma, the rare Cyclops from UXM, and little cute dupe. It was just the best figure. And I don't know how we both thought I was going to win, but I did not. A lot of not so great dice on my end, I guess it was. I don't know. But then there was only 4 of us at the tournament, so I played against everybody. Then I played against Luke, who was running random cacophony of Perplex Harley, Spider-Gwen possessed by Eclipso, random other figure. Oh, Civil War Venom. I don't know what the idea here was. I think he said he had a 15-minute lunch break to come up with the team. Also, it was funny. In 2 of my games out of the 3, my opponents rolled crit hits to churn Casey Shazam into the big boy. And on one of them, Devin actually considered if he was going to prob his own critical hit to not have that happen, and he did some work. So I won that last game with the Shazam Pulse Wave, funnily enough. I did not win a Titano, but I didn't care. And then Sunday, we had a Halloween-y theme event because that was October 1st. 600 golden monster keyword was considered to be named, and if you have like a Mephisto or a Hela or like king or queen of hell or death person, they counted. So I ran just a cacophony of I just got Carnage, so I played him at 110. Goblin King at 75, Hulk Pool, Chase Poison. What else? What else did I play? Oh, Spider Carnage and Man Spider, because I wanted to play all the Spider-Manses. And I went 1 and 2 somehow, because I don't know how, but it was fun. And I got a Titano, and he's a big monkey, and that is always good. And I had some fun. Yeah, no competitive recently because I went from judging at the Canada Cup to the World Cup and not able to do much playtesting, which is totally ideal because we don't practice, right? That's what our motto is. Don't practice.
Practice is for suckers. It's a little shameful because I haven't had a great deal of time to practice my team. But at the same time, I'm not changing a whole lot. I am kind of sticking with my team because when you don't get a lot of time to get practice games in, the practice games you have had with your team go a long way. And all of my practice games with this team are competitive play, so I can pretty much relax on that, I guess. I know how the team works. If it's not going to win, it's not going to win. If it's going to win, it's going to win. It's going to come down to the wild card elements of it. Anyway, that said, my week in Heroclix has been sorting Heroclix, to be brutally honest, and kind of talking about it. We got some content out this week for the show, but I've been spending a lot of time at work. I have been reading a lot of comic books recently, though, and I had a chance to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, finally. Very split second before the credits is the best thing in a movie ever. I'm not going to talk about it. You have to watch the movie. If you haven't watched the movie, holy smokes, me and Amber left that movie laughing so hard. Wow. It was a really good Spider-Man movie in general. It was good to see him back in high school, not this 20-year-old thing that they've been trying to pass off as a college student. So
not a 30-year-old playing a 21-year-old.
No, it's a 21-year-old playing a 15-year-old now.
Something like that. Yeah,
it's a weird dynamic, but that's kind of been the thing forever. But that said, we're in that countdown stage right now. This is the second to last Metal Lab episode we're going to have prior to Rock World Cup. Now, we spent a lot of time last week talking about what there is to do in Rock World Cup and what kind of tournaments we're going to be seeing in there. What I do want to spend the next 2 weeks, so this week and next week, focusing on are going to be the tournament formats, specifically for the semifinal and the final, the big show events, as it were. So we've talked in detail about how you're going to get those last-second points in the event if you haven't earned your last-second 50 points to get into the Rock semifinal. So from there, we're going to talk about the tournament that those 50 points do get you into, and that is the Rock Limited 400-point format. I want to talk about this a lot, mostly because in our patron Discord last night we had a voice chat, and we have a very enthusiastic member of our patron Discord who just loves building teams. He just barfs out teams, lots of teams. His favorite thing is building the teams. I had a point where I was at that, and now I'm like kind of displaying the fact that I play Magic the Gathering in the Commander format, and the fact that how I play my Heroclix is that I take something and I fine tune it, and like I'll get a '69 Chevy and then put a modern engine in it. And I don't know cars, so bear with me, guys. And make it my own, and continue to upgrade and maintain those parts to a degree, or pimp it, as it were. I'll get chrome plates on it, my bystander tokens. I'll get matching bystander tokens if I'm really proud of it, and keep going from there. So that being said, that's kind of my thing. But our patron was just pumping out a lot of teams, and I was starting to look at some of the things that he was coming up with were interesting, to say the least. And one truly notable one is how many different keywords we've loved in the past become actual functional teams in this format again. And Jay, have you noticed any of them specifically yourself right now?
What was the question?
Some keywords are coming back. What keywords, specifically in the 400 limited format, do you think are going to be the ones that either shock or dominate or show up in a plenty?
I wanted to say monster for a second, but then I realized Carnage is not playable. That makes me kind of sad. But there's so much good stuff in Undead, and even Dr. Frankenstein alone is just such a thing. I kind of want to say we might see some monster between that and Goblin King and other random good hulks that we have now, because I think Maestro is a monster and he does good things, and I'm sure that'll surprise some people. Not so much with the name keywords, because I don't really think Asgardian should see a competitive showing. But yeah, I feel like mostly random generic stuff will surprise people, perhaps.
Yeah. And so yeah, Monster's one that's going to show up. Animal is another one that's going to make a comeback. I think because there's a certain number of animals that have a lot of the support powers to make that a very viable strategy. There's a lot of perplexing animals now. There's a lot of probing animals now. I'm not sure about leadershiping animals. Don't quote me on that one, but there could very well be. And I just haven't looked at it very carefully right now. I was actually very recently just clicked on the monster keyword, and I think Undead is the first set I've ever seen where every single figure in the set has the keyword.
Yeah, Mighty Thor is almost like that. It's a very tight set, but it's not quite that level as far as the Asgardian keyword went.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't give everybody Asgardian. That's for sure.
I think I know why you can't remember any leadership animals.
Why is that?
Half of them are Leo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, they're terrible leaders.
it's him and Gert pretty much, and that's basically it.
Now that said, as much as I have a hate on for Leonardo himself as a character in the comic books and the TV show, Leonardo is most certainly very potent in this new limited format. There's going to be a lot of onboard equipment, and his effect doesn't just trigger on starting the game equipment; it triggers every time you attempt to equip. Mm-hmm. So there's a good, I think he runs about a 40% chance of success, because I think ties go to the opponent.
Yeah, you have to win
he has to win. He has a has-to-win situation, which kind of drops the percentage down, but that's still a percentage of non-work that you really had to do. All you had to do is roll some dice higher than your opponent. So those animal keywords got a lot of tools that just kind of pop up. Clarion. Clarion fits into both animal and mystical. And Mystical's already potent because there's a guy named Shmeen Schmantern and Shakim Shmunder. Like Jakeem Thunder and the Owl Scott Green Lanterns alone really elevate the mystical keywords. And then, of course, we just mentioned Clarion, right?
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see Ace the Bat Hound show up at least a little bit, because he's both a good support piece as well as an enabler with the grand stealth busting trait. Considering how important Outwit is now and how thus important stealth will be. So shutting that down is going to be major, because, that Outwit with that new Batman, because holy, what the H did the game designers think about that one? What?
Yeah. And, as much as I got into I was back and forthing, drew a lot on it last night. Did you know that the Green Arrow has a Gotham City keyword? The Chase?
Yep.
Gotham City has got one of the most potent tentpole shooter guys to back up a really swarmable team. Like, you can really put together a swarmy Gotham City team. Just keep your eyes open for weird stuff like that. And the reason we want to talk about, I want to bring up these keywords and how there's a lot of theme teams that can be really, really potent in the limited format. It's time to start thinking about how your teams perform in maps in this case. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you can look at your team and say, I have a map that's going to cost me the game, it's time to take that map and say, how can I make my team not lose on this map?
I think that's called Skullship Syndrome.
It is most certainly Skullship Syndrome. Skullship doesn't have the answer to The Office, unfortunately. It doesn't come with its own answer. I can't even imagine trying to play it. Like, why did The Rock made that dungeon map that's like a maze of walls?
Yeah.
Skullship loses immediately on that map. Like, just go home. I mean, it can barely start the game. I think it's a 3x6, right?
Yep.
It's stuck in the starting area, basically. So,
GG.
yeah. GG, no re.
Oh.
Anyway, that's not such a problem in the limited format, but at the same time, your team could suffer against certain maps. If there's a lot of theme, it's a theme team dominated. It might not be. The one thing about limited at the Rock World Cup, it's always the newest version of the limited format. It's a brand new spank format. We don't know what people are going to play, and as a result, so much is out there, and you have to be aware of. Because the format isn't fully defined. Now, certain things you can count on. You can count on Unimind being there, and you can count on Jakeem being there for sure. In fact, unfortunately, Tom can't join us tonight. He sent me a really extensive talk about Unimind that I might kind of just take over for him. Hopefully, he's not offended by that because he did make up a really good point. Because this is also a 400-point format. And what are the other things you got to think about in 400 points, Jay? What do you think are going to be those things that people aren't really thinking about when it comes down to it?
I guess we don't see so much necessarily equipping as much. So people are going to bring it, and then they think they're going to be safe, but then they're going to be like, wait, who's this Mr. Nobody jerk coming out of nowhere, ruining my Mjolnir plans and my overdrive plans and whatnot. So I think people are going to expect to see theme teams with Doc Ock, but they're going to then not see any of that because overdrive is unplayable, because I'm seeing a lot of people just say it's a 345-point game now thanks to Mr. Nobody, because I don't think you're going to see much Ajax as far as a 400-point game goes, considering how easily he's able to be killed. But, I mean, he did see 2 top 8s of the Canada Cup, so I'm sure they're better players than me. Yeah. People might expect to be able to draw a line of fire to things because they'll think that Bill is not competitive, but then he kind of still is at limited because ID cards aren't around to ruin his day. So maybe people running some can't see me John Cena tech with him that people aren't going to expect because of the ID card thing. That's off the top of my head.
Everybody keeps referring to him just as Bill because we also had Bill, Agent of AIM, in the past that had some kind of line of fire things going on. So let's try to use Beta Ray or Ray Bill or something. His name.
Yeah, I'll love Beta Ray Bill.
It breaks me every time. It's like Bill, Agent of AIM. It's not even modern. Oh, right.
Yeah. Sure there's gonna be some people there that are gonna get mind screwed by some new rules interactions. And that's gonna be a bad time for people that aren't necessarily keeping up as much, but will still show up, which I'm sure will happen. And there's gonna be some very sad judges who have to inform people that their teams don't work the way they want them to. But as far as figures go, I think that was about it off the top of my head.
Yeah. Rules are going to be an important thing. It's a brand new rule set, and we're still in that in between phase. Judges are going to screw up rulings. The win may not be up to date fully yet on what you need. So read what you got, read what you have, double check with the judges ahead of time. Maybe if you have a ruling, bring backup plans because this is a long day, a long set of tournament time. You have time, you have space, you have all this in your wheelhouse. So take advantage of the time that you have, the availability of the judges that will be there, and just ask questions ahead of time if you have any doubt. If you have even the most smidgen of a doubt about the way your team functions, ask the judges, double check your rules, double check the win. Once you have all of that together, that's when you can really be aware of any kind of obscure decisions that you're trying to make. Now, in the 400 limited, there's not going to be that much of this. But Tom, I don't know if he ran the numbers, but I'm going to try to – he did send me a text explaining what he was planning on talking about. So I'm going to try to take from this. He did have a cartographer's corner set up for this week. Hopefully we can get it by next week. If he doesn't have it if he can't do it himself, I'll have him pass it on to me. What I'm also going to try to do this weekend, it is Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. I'm going to try to use some of the time that I have to catch up on Tom's charts. We kind of have to play a little bit of catch up on that because that's a lot of information we haven't been sharing with you guys a great deal. Okay, so Tom, and I don't have Tom's main points here, but he does talk about the potency of the Unimind as a single figure in the 400-point format. Most importantly, worth noting, and Jay, you might have caught this, the new ruling in regards to Unimind's beginning of the turn effect.
Wait, what about it?
How it's whose beginning of the turn is it?
Everyone's.
Everyone's.
Yeah, I'm confused about that, considering that's just on the card, unless I missed something.
Well, here's the thing. It's one of those, it's that comfort factor. We're so used to beginning of the turn being beginning of my turn, right? Yeah. This is beginning of each turn. This is unfamiliar language that we haven't had in the past, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Being able to pick a defense and then an offense is, yeah.
Yeah. So as a single figure on your team, you can put 400 points in this figure. It's an 11-click figure. It better be at 400 points. 10 range, 2 targets, power cosmic, with the potential for perplex up to 4 times, which you give it +2 to its stats. And on the opening stats, let's talk about that would make you a 13 movement, 15 attack, 21 defense, 7 damage. That's just insanity.
Wait, how are you getting 4 perplexes?
Well, because you get additional for each extra 2.
Right, but there's only 5.
Is there only 5?
There's only 5 in modern.
5. 1. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yes, Venture Symbol doesn't count. All right, cool. So we have 5. So they screwed themselves on that one.
That's a little weird, yeah.
Very clever.
That would be an exactly 400-point Unimind, but as is, oh no, I have room for special terrain.
Oh no, I can put a boxing ring on my team. Exactly.
Oh no, my +2/-2 only gives me a 13 attack and prob. Oh, woe is me.
Some of the important things about this particular setup of Unimind is that, now I'm not sure, defense powers, what do you get? You get invulnerable, super senses, impervious, or invincible are as choices with a full sideline of Eternals. Now you're getting 3 perplexes as well. You can very carefully choose them. Easily up your defenses up ridiculous amounts. Have an unpulse waveable invincible, because the power that you choose with the Unimind is protected pulse wave. Right. Also, if you haven't chosen a perplex to use perplex on that particular turn, you've double tokened or something like that, you're now not outwinnable. You are very tough to get by in every sense of it. You're a very difficult figure to deal with. Is the crux of everything. Between all the probability controls you can get, all the hypersonics you can get, so on and so forth. The problem that Tom presented us is, if you do decide to go with the one-man army Unimind, you have a very good chance of winning quite a few of your matchups. The problem you run into is that against another Unimind, you're looking at a 0-point matchup. As in, neither player is scoring any points in this game.
Yeah, between all the stop clicks, all the yeah, huh?
Right?
Because you don't have pulse wave in your arsenal there, so good luck hitting. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So now take that into consideration. In the Rock, what is a 0-point draw, Jay?
That is a double loss.
So in the 400-point limited format, if you happen to run this the Unimind as a single figure, you do run a high risk of playing against another Unimind, and that other Unimind is very potentially going to put you and him in a situation where you can't kill each other, because once you hit the stop click, you take your turn, you regenerate. You hit him to a stop click, he takes his turn, he regenerates. You go back to the stop clicks back and forth constantly, and this is just the first stop click. How are you getting past the next one, right? It's a back and forth draw, basically, right? Unless one opponent decides not to use the stop click regeneration, and you don't do that. Right? So it's careful, proper, correct play in a Unimind versus Unimind matchup is a 0-point game. But you do have a very strong matchup against a lot of additional teams. So this is what you're being presented with right now is the fact is that it's a hard choice to make. Do you do this? Do you stick yourself in this situation where there's a specific matchup where both you and your opponent lose the game? do you try to take a weird risk? I don't know, Jay. With this information presented, Unimind's a strong figure as a solo army in a 400-point game, but he does run into the mirror match double loss because of the way the ROC is set up. Would you risk the Unimind or what?
Would I risk the Unimind? Assuming no other factors are at play, it's a tough sell now that you put it that way.
It does become a significantly harder sell, right? And you're playing the percentage game. How many people are planning on playing a one-man army Unimind? And then how many of them are... I'm hoping everybody who's planning on doing that has now just been made aware that the loss on both sides for the ROC is... And Aaron's mentioned the win doesn't allow for double losses. If they're relying on the win, they've screwed themselves on their own ruling.
So, wait. But on the other hand, now that we've had this conversation, doesn't that just mean most people are going to play Unimind? So therefore, if you're the few people playing it, you're fine?
And then here comes the other thing is in the 400-point limited tournament, only the top 50% will get in. Now, if people are taking double losses, you can actually, if a Unimind penetrates a certain, let's say 25% of the teams are Uniminds, and then some of those Uniminds start running into each other, right? Then you're going to have a couple teams with double losses. The number of losing records actually increases in what comes up in the top 50%. Right?
It's a weird conversation we're having.
It's the Unimind has Uniminded this conversation. So now, do you know if the ROC is fully relying on the win or if they're going to be?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I think Amber would probably know better than I do.
Amber, is the ROC using the win at ROCtober?
I believe so.
Have they gotten rid of the double loss draw yet?
I'll have to look back into that. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, God. Now we all heard that conversation, right?
Yeah, the win doesn't really work very well. Even I've had tournaments with 4 people. So round 1, 2 people play. Like it should be everybody plays each other once. But most recently, I had what happened. It was first round happened, second round happened, third round only has one possible scenario. But what it presented me with is just repair from the first round. Or I've heard horror stories of in a similar numbers tournament, people it's saying 2 people have to it says I don't know how to pair 2 people against each other. They have to sit out while one other game happens with 2 people in a 4-person tournament. It's the win is already not in a good enough situation as is. So yeah. Yeah.
Now, thankfully, Aaron Cantu, who's been talking with Patrick Iboko in the end, has been made aware. He's aware of the situation. He's going to deal with it. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it goes as well as we hope. And we see what's up with that. All right, so we've spoken at length about that particular thought processes. Do I run the Unimind? If I run the Unimind, I run into the double loss. Holy smokes, what am I going to do? Now, without having, you may be a little bit more secretive than I've been of late, Jay. What is your current sitting plan? You don't have to say specifically the figures, but roughly what's the strategy you're looking at right now for 400 points? What's your thought process going into building a team?
The only team I have sitting right now is just mystical with all of the good pieces. That's all I have sitting right now. It's something like Jakeem Al Jordan as the base. I thought I would put KC Green Lantern, but I just feel like with Unimind existing, I can't rely on that 20 defense. So I threw on Clarion, I threw on Henry, a special terrain. I think I threw in Shifting Strange because he can do good stuff with carrying Clarion and good stats on Jakeem, and just hope I can get in a good 13 attack pulse wave to at least hit Unimind, not necessarily for a lot because of the traded reducer that can't be ignored, but just hope for some good stuff there with picket power versatility and good stats. And if I have to run into a Nighthawk, I can Battle Fury him at least, and hopefully hit him before he can pick up a symbiote to be annoying. Although with new hypersonic rules, I don't care as much. So
Yeah.
basically, right now for that, I'm sitting on just good mystical pieces, and I should be able to use versatility to do decently because it's only top 50%. So yay.
Yeah, and that's the trick. Is the top 50% consists of the people with a semi-winning record, and half the people that don't have so much of a winning record. And Jay, when you said a bunch of good mystical pieces, you reminded me back in the day when I used to play Magic the Gathering. Me and my team used to have a philosophy: if your deck doesn't have any bad cards, you don't have a bad draw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thought process. Sometimes just good figures on the team works out. Last year there was a combination, I think, of Devil Dinosaur, Mephisto, and Mr. Mix's Pitlick. That was I played against a few times, and that's a prime example of that whole thing where if the team is all good, then it's really hard to beat the team, and you can actually do fairly well with it. Now, none of those figures are point-and-click auto wins, but those are just 3 really good figures that you can play it out. And that's also a very valid strategy, is a stack of figures who are good. So, now, one of the things to remember with Unimind, I know I sound doom and gloom with the character. He's tough to take out. You can do it. It can be done. It will not be easy, and it will cost you effort. If you are playing against it, you are in a must-win situation, which means throw all your points that you can at it, because honestly, you score all or you score none. And that's one of those things to remember, because it's been a long time since a viable one-man army strategy has existed, and right now, going into this limited format, it is one. So it is one to consider. It is one to think about it and how you're going to deal with it. And if you are playing with it, it's going to be a hit and run, dodge and run strategy, obviously. And if you're playing against it and they're doing that, I warned you. And that just goes a long way towards attitude in the game. I had one of the most frustrating games I ever had at Canada Cup in the top 8 final in the listing eliminations, where I lost one figure and my opponent ran, and what can I do, right? He's not going to present himself to get punched back in the face. If he can run and stay running, that's it. You're stuck, right? So be able to chase is really what you have to deal with the Unimind, or capture, or sorry, not capture, but hold him down somehow. Don't let him go. Keep all these things in consideration. I might be giving the character a little bit more credit than it deserves. What do you think, Jay?
Oh, there's going to be so much overthinking that happens on my end.
I personally would like to apologize to Jay Solomon for what I might have just done to him at the Rock World Cup. Because I do all this doom and gloom speaking. I'm not even playing in the semifinal. I'm going to be watching the games in the semifinal, because you know what I do? You know what I know about myself in the limited format? I can't do it. I can't think in this format. No. I need everything. I need overcomplication on my team in order to survive. Like, I'm going to die when all the last remaining 2 resources that we have are gone. When my complication on my team is gone, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. It's going to be difficult for me to readapt. So,
yeah, the only way I'm not playing in the semis is if I say, please give me about 200 points for being an HC Realms writer, which is not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, so that's going to be a terrible time.
Yep. So, now that I've done all that, guys, we have this extra stuff to think about going into the 400-point limited. And let's get back to, what's going on in ROCtober. As far, you know what, we're gonna say the commentary about Modern till next week. Because let's be honest, let's take a little bit of time to stew on what we just terrified you guys with.
I know exactly what my 2 options are, and both of them are going to be just fallbacks because I won't be able to play test.
With that said, I do want to take a couple seconds to step away from Heroclix, and I want to wish Mr. Mike Payne all the luck. He has stepped away from the game Heroclix and the channel for a little while to pursue a career in comedy. He's been doing a lot of work in that. That's why he's been very absent on the channel. And you know, he's gone to further a very interesting career that he's really passionate about, and that doesn't leave much time for Heroclix and the channel for himself. We do wish him the best in that venture. He's been great on the channel. He's been a wonderful delight. He's been a dominant force in the local Heroclix as well for a bit of time. And he's done nothing but good. So he will be missed. With that, unofficially right now, I do want to mention that we are going to be looking for an extra face on the Metal app to try to keep a regular third face on. Tom has always been kind of semi-regular to the show, but I just don't want to let his beautiful voice leave me. But we will very soon give out details as to how we are going to be looking for our new extra member on the channel. So if you are interested in being on the Meta Lab, keep an eye on the channel. I'm going to be filming a video and probably putting it up tonight, something. It's going to be an unedited pile of poo. That's just really going to have details as to what we're going to be looking for. And this is going to be kind of a permanent host's position. There's not a lot. Well, we can get into more details on it later on. So I just wanted to put that out there. So good luck to Mike Payne. All the best to you in your career in comedy. If you guys happen to be in the Toronto area, and keep an eye on him on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can. He does tend to share the comedy gigs he is participating in, whether he's hosting, whether he's an actual performer in it. I think hosting is actually its own form of performance now that I'm thinking about it. But keep an eye open for him and do partake. He's given me some of his lines just over Facebook chat, and I've laughed. And he's lived a very interesting life worthy of his stand-up act. So once again, thank you very much, Mike Payne. And details will be up either later tonight or or midday tomorrow, late day tomorrow. I don't know. They'll be up soon as to how we're going to handle that. All right, I've gone at length about that. Jay, anything else you wanted to bring up in regards to the conversation of Heroclix?
I'm looking forward to teams because that is just one of my favorite formats in the game ever. Especially because that Thor set is going to be a lot of fun when you can actually. I mean, there are some pretty solid rares in that set, but just with the distribution on that set, you're guaranteed to get at least something to play and something to keep. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that, especially because I think they confirmed that the winning team gets to design a rock map, unlike last year. So that's going to be really fun for whoever gets to win that.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that Brazil, South America wants to do a Sao Paulo map if they win, which they're not going to be allowed to win. Hearing some interesting things. So that's going to be a very fun event, although building a sealed team at 9 in the morning is not necessarily my favorite thing in the whole world.
How do you get through like Heroclix worlds, man? Like most of that stuff starts at 9, doesn't it? If I remember, I might be
I can't remember starting an event that early. I think a little later, at least, like 10.
Yeah, it was probably 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Is there really a difference between 9 and 10 when you're
No.
right there? Like 9 o'clock, just roll out of bed, grab some French toast at the. No, they don't do continental breakfast this place. Hold on.
No, it's not included. Unfortunately, yeah. It's a good breakfast, but unfortunately not included.
Yeah. All right. You know what? Let's spend a little time then talking about the team's format, because Thor, this is going to be like this is going to be the only time that there's going to be a team event run with the Mighty Thor set. Are there any highlight figures you think need to be watched, need to necessarily be played right off the bat in the Thor set? I personally haven't looked at it because I'm going to be probably doing commentary around that time.
Yeah, funny that you mentioned that, because I already did primers for HC Realms, but I'm going to do another quick run on them.
Team format is a different thing. It's a different beast, right? So
right. but like what figures are good is still the same thing, right? Like, the only difference is, like, let's say you're more likely to pull multiple Lokis, he's more viable. But I'm working on a second round specifically for Team Worlds for Majestics, but common slot isn't spectacular, but I think even if you only have one common Loki, his evasion and annoyance factor is pretty good. Incap's fine. That's a pretty solid stop click too, with penetrating damage, a reducer, and outwit, and only for 65 points. Not a bad little package.
Do not discount. Never discount Thena either.
Oh, that too. Thena's good. Common Captain America is surprisingly scary with charge, flurry, plasticity, blades, and reflexes for 55 points. That's not bad either. Stone Men of Saturn is 20-point empower that can take a hit. Red Leader's good. The Leader's good. You mentioned Thena, Jane Thor. There's a lot of threats. Prime Scourge. Not a lot of Pulse Wave in this set, so you are going to have to hit him 7 times with pretty respectable numbers. Wow. I don't see how you can deal with Pluto that easily in this set, because, wow, that's a thick dial with everything you want in sealed.
He's in-set beastly. Like, he's just absolutely awesome for this set alone in sealed.
Yeah. All the primes are good now that I think about it. If you see Odin the Destroyer across the map, that's yikes.
Take him outside. Take him outside if you can.
Oh God. Title Thor. Yeah, if you kill him, bad stuff happens, but he's most of your team anyways. And if you lose a guy that awesome, that was not going to be a good game for you. Groot Thor is actually pretty solid and sealed with a 19 reducer and shape change and that awesome trade. Most of the SRs are good. Not a lot of stealth busting in this set, except for Unimind, I think. And even then, he's less good in a sealed environment. And that makes Enchantress one of the most annoying pieces of all time, because it's a charge set. And it's like, oh, I charged you. Oh, you rolled your shape change. Or I didn't hit you because you have a 19-20 defense and close. Oh, and you're going to teleport me away. That was very rude of you.
Though doesn't seem that great in sealed. I think Unimind in team sealed will see a little bit more worth, because in a lot of cases, sometimes you look at teams and you build without the Eternals, and you can actually squeeze together something really good with just like 2 really half decent Eternals on the sideline with him. So, like, I wouldn't discount him in the team seal. I'd almost think he's more of a threat in team seal than he would be, say, in a regular sealed.
Although you only have 6 packs between you, and there's only 1 common Eternal, and then the other ones are rare or above. So you're pretty guaranteed. You're almost guaranteed to get Athena, but I don't know if you're getting a second one necessarily.
Again, it's one of those situations. It's not impossible.
It's not incredibly likely, but it's not impossible either. If you pull any of the chases except for Malekith, I think you're playing it. I don't see why you wouldn't. I actually played Malekith and sealed, and a please don't hit me from range trait is good, but not in a close combat set.
This is true.
Oh, that was not a good time for Jay. Yeah, and also some characters are decent, but you might be better off playing just their weapon. Like, yeah, Thunderball looks fine, but you're probably better off just slapping that weapon on anybody else. Same with Wrecker. With, oh my god, that crowbar. And I, with my Joker teams, am going to give my Joker that crowbar at least one time. It's going to happen, I hope. But yeah, awesome. Pretty fun-looking set. If you pull rares, you're still fine for the most part. So, yeah, I'm working on those primers. Look to those, or just go back to the ones I have in HC Realms and read those, because those are okay. And I have a second writer on those too for extra opinions.
Yeah. And always remember to expand just a little on your pool thoughts. If something is limited by the pool of characters, it gets expanded a little bit more in this format. That's really all I can add to it. I, again, haven't been thinking about the format because I'm really thinking about the format we're going to be spending more time talking about next week. So with that in mind, I guess it's going to be time to move on to questions very shortly. So if you happen to be watching us in the chat live, put in chat big capital letters question in front of any questions you might have for us as we move into this section to get our attention in the chat, because there's been some conversation going on. And if you have a question, I want to be able to see it and ask it and answer it on the channel. Also, if you really want to join us in this patron Discord that I've mentioned before, check us out at patreon.com/Heroclix. Any evaluation gets you access to the Patreon Discord, a patron Discord, and it's always a ton of fun. We do irregular voice chats where we chit chat about just about anything. Sometimes we talk nothing but teams. Other times we just talk about whatever movies. It doesn't matter. We have all kinds of conversation channels and rooms to chit chat in, and it's been a lot of fun. And we have a little section for you guys to troll the Metal Lab, and I make sure to pay attention to that during the show. In fact, Nathaniel has nicely reminded us that we're all nerds using some Revenge of the Nerds memes.
Not Simpsons?
Not Simpsons. The original source, as it were. So, but we're going to start on the Facebook. First question, Austin Ryder, do you think it's worth it to playing in a Titano tourney just to get the Batman Pog? Yes, because there's also a Green Lantern Pog on the other side. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the Gorilla Batman and the Gorilla Green Lantern, mwah. What do you think, Jay?
It depends, because I know locally, because it costs the store money, we didn't run sealed, but for the tournaments I referred to earlier today, you had to buy in for the Titanium prizing with either a regular booster or four gravity feed packs. So it depends on the cost, really, and depends on how much you value your time. But yeah, that's quite a little Batman Pog. Although I'm really looking forward to all the Green Lantern fans who hate Kyle Rayner when they realize that Green Lantern's actually Kyle Rayner. And Mike just started playing the game again because I mentioned Kyle Rayner.
And this is Mike Payne is in the middle of a comedy act. And don't you hate it when Kyle Rayner... Hold on a second. That wasn't as funny as I'm sure Mike is. All right. Next up, Drew Warren. If you could live in one of the states of America or somewhere in Spain with Clixed, would you move? And if yes, where to? I want to know if you all think there's a state that's notoriously easy to beat or some such. You know what? I wouldn't. If I was looking for a state to play Heroclix, I'd be looking for the best of the best players. There's been a lot of really good players come out of New Jersey specifically. I guess that would be New York State. We've got Kenny Pena, Canadian champion, and that, the neighboring state there, Michigan. Adam Cole, Canadian champion. Nick Peterson, I believe he's over in Ohio. So there's that line of three states that have just wrecked us here in Canada. But as well, we have last year's Rock World champ, and the year before, his son won the Rock World Cup. So and Isaac will be challenges to play against. So I wouldn't base it on ease of win. But if I was to actually pick a state, some of the best times I've had were in Louisiana, because I spent some time in New Orleans, and Jason likes his drink, his adult beverage, as it were.
Well, that was also the first place he flew, right? So
it was the first place I flew. It was also the place I had my honeymoon. That's a more important detail about it. Love you, Amber. But if it was to be based on Clixed, I want to go to New Jersey, where some of the best are playing, or California, where we have a two-time world champion over there. It's hard to pick a state. A lot of really good players exist there.
I remember. When I was in Vegas, I was talking to, oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm such a bad person. I was talking to Tony, and I was like, we were talking about how terrible it must be to go to your local venue in round one, Pat, just for your regular tournament. I would not want to have to do that.
I would want that for sure. You got to get better. If you're going to get beat by somebody, get beat by the champ.
Yeah, I would probably say similar answer to you, but I would actually specify Michigan, because can't go wrong with them in your Adam Cole, because he is the best. And Scott doesn't live in that area. He lives I think an hour away, but still he's in the state. George is in the state. Brian Charowski's in the state. A bunch of other people I'm sure I'm forgetting in the state.
There's a lot of really good players across the entire USA. So I think it's fair to say state doesn't matter. Play does. And so
we're lucky we're in Ontario as opposed to almost any other province because it's pretty dry anywhere but here in Quebec.
Well, I mean, we just may not know the players and they may not travel enough. I wouldn't discount the skills of anybody we haven't played against yet. Their saturation as far as competitive experience may be limited, but we just don't know who they are and haven't had a chance to play against them. For all we know, they could be wrecking house over there and be able to compete up in these other places and just haven't had the resources or time to do so.
If I recall correctly, Patricia's originally from Vancouver. So.
She's from BC. BC used to wreck our faces. Her and Rob Barazul, massive players, massively great players in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ontario isn't the mecca of all things. We just happen to be very centralized around Ontario
and close to the States.
Yeah, we're also close to the States, so we get exposed to a lot more of the players because guys like you and me travel to more events. All right, next up, Michael Fedor, the Alpha patron. Will there be a patron hangout this Friday? I need to let work know in enough time. Patron hangout will not be this Friday. It is the weekend of Canadian Thanksgiving, as we mentioned earlier. My kids also have a PD date, so Amber's going to be incredibly exhausted, and I don't want to do that to her as well. We're still in the I've got a lot of extra work to do this week because next week I have Monday off from the holiday. Then I have Tuesday to work, and then Wednesday to work, and then Thursday I hit my plane and go to Atlanta. So I'm busy for the rest of this week in order to make sure I don't feel guilty when I get on the plane to Atlanta and I've left enough work done before I go. And that's kind of where I'm standing on that right now. So it's not so much that I don't want to. It's just we don't have the time available. And we do want to attempt to do something on the Friday night. I'm not sure what, and I might have to postpone it again another week. So we might actually have a patron hangout on the 20th of October. But one of the bonuses of that is I'm sure Jay will be more than willing to join us on the show. Right, Jay?
Boss man person.
So we're going to share with you guys some of our experiences, personal wise, recount any experiences we had with you guys while we're there. One thing we did come up with, and I got to figure out the logistics on it with some of the guys over at The Rock. On the Friday evening, I think we agreed, right?
I think so.
We're going to do what I like to call a click and hang. I got this idea actually from a Magic the Gathering event where I think it was a Grand Prix in Vegas. What they ended up doing is they got some of the celebrities of the game of Magic the Gathering to grab a pack, throw a couple lands in that pack, and just play a casual game of Heroclix with another person for about 5-10 minutes, kind of like a speed dating type thing. Now, you're not dating us, don't get me wrong on that. But what we are doing is we're planning on you guys bring your favorite Heroclix. We are going to bring our favorite Heroclix with us. We're going to try to maybe set up on a couple small maps. I might do like those. I might find some of my old maps that came with team bases. I think I have a couple of those little pieces hanging out.
Oh, the basketball courts and stuff? Yeah.
Play like a figure on figure, but most of the time is meant to be spent kind of chit-chatting with us. A little bit of personal time with each of the members of the Metal Lab and Married with Clix. Amber's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Jay's going to be there. Tom should be there. So, yeah, just bring your favorite figure, and we'll just kind of goof off, have some fun, play a game, a singular game of a single figure of Heroclix. I don't even care about you bring a 300-point character. This is not a 4-win kind of situation. This is a, hey, let's chit-chat and have fun and hang out and just happen to be doing what we enjoy, which is Heroclix. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get something together on Saturday, but on the Saturday of ROCtober, I got to remember this is the Friday of ROCtober, and then the Saturday of ROCtober, I'm trying to figure out something with the other podcast, see if we can do some kind of sit down and chit chat. But I'm going to talk to maybe Scott. He's a good equipment guy, maybe to figure out with that. So we got some plans. They're just going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, Dan Durrett. I'm a big fan of making theme teams, and yet find myself struggling to make a competitive theme team. I've been looking at Monster, Cosmic, and Asgardian keywords most recently, but I'm getting nowhere with a build that I'm 100% happy with to practice. Should I keep trying to build around keywords or find a solution? Or find a solution to break the habit? Okay, it depends on the level of competitive play you're looking to get into, Dan. If you're looking to get into high-level competitive play, you got to forget that there are keywords on the card sometimes, and just remember that there's that little dial. Way back in the day, as kind of an introduction to Heroclix, I broke a major force just to make a point. And the point was, rip that figure. If you don't actually rip any figures off the dial, I did that for you symbolically. But you also have to remember that you're playing with numbers and stats and powers, and not with figures and themes, etc. Now, if you happen to be able to make a theme team that does work, don't dissuade yourself from it. Make it work, but don't. If it is a theme team and it's just not working for you, it's okay to step away from it. That's part of the, honestly, you got to get the practice in with these teams first to find out why they're not working in some cases. And in other cases, you got to, just kind of let go of it. It is hard to get rid of the theme team bug until you start to start to look at it and say, I got to put myself in the got to win situation. And then it's very easy to get rid of the theme teams. Or alternatively, do what I did at my first trip to Canadian Nationals and build around a theme that isn't a theme. And what I mean is build around a specific thing to make that thing work, but it doesn't necessarily have to build out a theme team. That's where cohesion, or what's the other word I'm looking for? Synergy comes from, is building around a functionality over a comic book. I think is really the best way to do it. And make it a fun synergy the first time you do it. I don't know, Jay, what are your thoughts on the matter?
I don't think I really have much to add on top of what you said. I mean, most of the time, even if you are making a theme team, it's like, it's either generic or it's just not comic accurate anyway. So, I mean, I really enjoyed seeing Pat win with the JSA theme team, but he was using 2 of the same characters, so that's not really accurate. So, for competitive play, it's you play what's good. That happens to work out for me. Yeah, theme bonuses are good, but don't bend over backwards and play a bad team just because it's themed, as opposed to,
It's the idea, one of the ideas, I think I've done an episode way back in the day, I might have to revisit it. It's the idea of min-max. You want the minimum input to get the maximum output, right? If I can put in 5 points and get up 150 points, that's the supreme version of min-max, and that's why ID cards are as popular as they are in the competitive strategy. So it's about that, and if you can base your ideas around that, that'll get you a little bit further. Or you could do what I did with my team that I'm recently playing. And again, it's a whole idea of synergies. My synergies are get as many pogs as I can get out and let them die for all I care. As long as I don't lose actual points. All right. We move now into the chat. So if you're watching us live, again, put in big capital letters question in front of your question so we can catch it in the chat. It's been busy today. Aaron and KJ are in there, and lots of other people kind of chit-chatting and enjoying the show. So thank you guys for watching. KJ has this question. Outside of your team build, what main character will win the ROC tournament next week? What is next week? Next week is... Oh, are we talking about ROCtober still? I think it's a close tie between Unimind and Jakeem Thunder, definitely kind of taking the show. They're both really good. Jakeem Thunder is still really strong. We all thought Outwit would stop him, but Outwit is just like in the big scheme of things, Outwit is just an option in a grand scale of options, and there's not enough of it to really say he's done for. You know what I mean? It's not like we're bringing 8-figure Outwit teams, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the big two, probably. I just don't really see it happening otherwise, outside of some really good competitive player who also is just that much smarter than everybody else, or just happens to not want to do it. Like, I know Pat was not playing Faust at Worlds and played Chameleon because presumably he wanted to play his own figures. So, or if you're playing something that isn't those things that are just that good as a pilot, but you never know.
Ultimately, the fact is those two figures. The reason we bring up those two figures, and this is an important element, is they don't have a strict direct answer. They can be killed. They are not unkillable, but there is no easy way out with them. And that's what we try to stress is it's not they're good because there's no way to just say, I definitely am going to win this game the second they're on the board. There's no hard counter to them per se. And even then, if there is a strict hard counter to them, that hard counter really only beats them and loses to a large field of other things. So now if it is a field dominated by the two of them, you might find your way out of that. But I think the percentages on the two of them are going to be in the high 50s, high 70s for sure. But those 25%, if you're bringing the hard counters to those, they might ruin your day. And you might run into more of those on the back end. Catch my drift.
Yeah, even if Jakeem wasn't just that good on his own, that mystical keyword, how good it is and always will be in this game, will just, so many options. So many options now. And don't forget that Green Lantern's even better now because of how they changed improved targeting blocking. Hooray. Right? That's a good thing?
I'd miss you targeting blocking. But on a side note, that Spider-Man is still good. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. Now I'm kind of doing a little bit of research before I ask the next question. We're going to lead out with it. Mr. Clixed, also another YouTube channel you should probably check out. Can you pick Perplex with Unimind from the Eternals to protect your stat bonus from Pulse Wave? Jay.
No, because Pulse Wave says printed defense value.
I was thinking, I think because of the strict wording of printed values, that was going to be a no-no.
Yep.
Turns out it is. There we go.
Yep. It's kind of funny how now technically there's ways of maybe you could have a. Actually, no, there is at least there's one stop energy shield click in the game, but it doesn't work. So sorry.
Sorry, Pulse Wave still gets around it because printed. It's so weird how much stronger Pulse Wave got with just some simplified wording.
Also, that really funky wording about how even if you aren't attacking the character, if you draw the line of fire to them, it still turns off the powers. So if you have a Pulse Wave range on the actual physical range on a Casey Spectre, it shuts off his prob, even though he's not being targeted by the attack, but the line of fire still shuts off his powers, apparently. I can't remember the exact wording off the top of my head. But yeah, Pulse Wave totally needed a buff.
It honestly did to a certain degree, because it's supposed to be the solve all, and there's a couple things where all of a sudden it's like, wait, why isn't Pulse Wave solving this? Well, solve this problem, Pulse Wave. All right. And that looks like it does it for the questions in the chat. Jay, is there anything you want to go on or mention before I go into our sponsors?
Everything I want to mention is tied into the sponsors, so no.
Oh, Tom just got out of rehearsal, and we're wrapping up. The poor guy. Yeah. All right. On that note, guys, I do want to take a little bit of time to thank our sponsors and get myself back into frame. My goodness. All this time spent on my t-shirt because me and Jay match t-shirts, and I forgot I'm cutting off my hat and my head for half this show, or actually 3/4 of the show, almost all the show. But I do want to take a second to thank our Spanker sponsors. Oh, man. Oh, boy, it's been a long day for me, eh? I want to thank our sponsors over at hcrealms.com. This is the supreme site for Heroclix on the DL. It's not necessarily your news site, but this is where people are having the conversation. If you check out the forums, go to the unit section. If you want to track your collection, build your teams, add figures to it, they've added the new Titano to the selection, the database, as it were. You can add figures to your team, and it will do the math for you. Look at my Super Police Gunfighter Superman team. It's already at 100 points. I got so much more to add to that. check out the Rock section, find out when your local Rock events are. Or if, we're getting into the Rock World Cup season, check out the Rock World Cup link to get all your information on the Rock World Cup, all the things that are going on, all the goings on, where it is, all the details that you need to know for the Rock World Cup. Also, while you're on this page, check out the shop section, put in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off your purchase. A little bit of kickback comes our way, helps the show stay alive. We're also brought to you in part by MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. This is the brain trust of greatness in the game of Heroclix. We got a brand new article from Paris Gordon talking about none other than the men behind the game, the two characters that are dominating right now, Jakeem and the Unimind. Diego talking about the Unimind. There's a lot of talk about the Unimind. PJ Boland's talking about the undead set in Modern Play. AJ Pfeiffer with his new ID cards and the rules and the impact, the new changes. Jay's got articles coming around the corner. You don't even have to be a paying member at $3 a month to get access to some of the cool stuff that's going on here, because Amber has got her Rules Corner article that just came out. Jay's got regular articles on team tactics and figures that are on the fringe. It's really a great place to check out for just great brain dumps. Some really, really intelligent people who play this game have some really great ideas and share them with you guys on this. So take a second to check it out. MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders, $3 a month access to that. But there is still some free content on a regular basis, including Amber's Rules Corners articles, Jay's Fringe articles, and other articles, as well as updates on a lot of major events. It's a lot of cases. They are the first ones to get you the up-to-date knowledge. So what's winning in major tournaments. Whew. All right, guys. It's been great. Great episode. Looking forward to the Rock World Cup, as it is just around the corner. It is so close, Jay. You hyped?
I'm mad hyped, bro.
Mad hyped, bro. Oh, I like how I said that like a grandpa. I am mad hype, young man. But with that said, guys, with ROCtober around the corner, you have two formats that you have to practice if you're only getting into that semifinal. You have that 400-point Rock limited, no resources, no other stuff. Check it out on the Rock page at acrealms.com. You also have the 300-point Modern Age tournament, which we're talking about more in depth next week. We also might have Tom joining us on the show next week, hopefully. In the meantime, I'm going to try to work on charts as well this weekend to try to get you guys something, because we are missing out on a lot of the content that we used to give you guys, and you guys deserve it because we love you guys, and you guys need this knowledge to get some practice. Because in the case of this game, getting some practice helps, because practice
makes
your
team
better. Have a good night, everybody.